welcome. We're going to talk a little bit about the Sicilian Kan and the Hedgehog structures. It's one of the most solid and most frequently played structures in chess because it transposes from so many different variations from the Queen's Indian, Sicilian, and English, and it can be seen on both sides of the board for white and black. So what I would like to do is first show you the moves of how we're getting to the typical Sicilian Kan. So e4, c5. And as I'm going through, I want you to really think about what moves are being played. We don't want to give away the center, so we're going to take. And then this is typical of the Kan structure. A major difference from the Taimanov being this gives white many more options of play. Like for instance, knight b5, a very aggressive line. a6 shuts down all the play. So if I was to go back through the moves, what's the first move? Why do we play it? c5 to attack the center. e6, getting a piece of the center, getting prepared for development later. We don't want to give away the center. We got to continue fighting for it. We need to take. Now, as you'll see in future videos, we'll have very common themes with c4 being played in Maroczy structures. And you can see very quickly how we'll be able to get a hedgehog structure. 2 both here, and I really like this move, king h1. And now b4. So we've seen typical moves from Maroczy bind. Now this is why I recommend playing the English variation that we're going to see. The English, of course, being 1c4. After c5 and b6, you'll quickly see how we will get the exact same variation again. This is the starting structure. You need to burn this picture into your memory, and please, I cannot emphasize enough, if you're ever going to play e5, d5 needs to come immediately. If you play e5 in the structure, you have basically fallen on your own sword. You've given white the d5 and f5 squares for knights. Your bishop has become horrible, and you'll tactically get owned. The only way to play this structure is to play for a d5 or b5 break, even if it sacrifices a pawn for play. So as we'll see, this queen b8 move is very nice. You see maneuvers like bishop d8 to c7. Now, this move, king h1, is specifically designed to meet this bishop d8 to c7 plan. Because imagine the king being on g1 and we play d5. We'll be able to take on h2 with check. So this king h1 idea is prophylaxis against this idea for black. So bishop g1, black goes along with the idea anyway, and after rook b1, you have to find the potential time, the best time to play either d5 or b5 pawn breaks to hit the center. We need to wait for that bishop to move, or affect the king side in some way. So black begins a very patient plan here, knight e5, with the idea of knight g6, h5, h4, possibly knight h5 to go to one of the knights go to f4. Slow and steady. Make white do all the work on the king side. There's no big threats there. Queen side, white's got expansion, but he's going to have to make changes in the position, and when those changes come, you will have more opportunities. If b5 is ever played, a knight will then be able to go to d7 and then c5 with good effect. So the Kan is a defensive structure. If you rush it, you'll get in serious trouble. Another variation that we'll look at from the Kan Sicilian, starting 1c4, we'll get from it slightly different move order. But as you can tell, we're getting back to our structure here. And anytime we see that d4 move, what do you do in the Sicilian? Same principle here. You want to take. And it's even more important here because, let me just emphasize, after castles, if you miss a move, d5 is already blunting your bishop and ruining your pawn structure. So after d6, white already has great squares to play against your pieces and is gradually going to play for certain types of attack like this. Of course, he'd be hanging the queen. We're just talking theoretically. And you can already see how this bishop is miserable here. Do not forget this move. C takes d4. And we can already starting to see the skeleton of our Kan structure, the hedgehog structure rather, develop. And we're following a game from 1981 by Hubner and the great Garry Kasparov. And as we'll see in our other Sicilian Kan videos, this structure will be seen quite frequently. And the major theme of when g6 is played in the Hedgehog is if white cannot get to this pawn very easily. There's no knight maneuver to get to d6 that white has. Even if he piles up all the heavies and puts a bishop on a3, it will uncoordinate the pieces enough for a b5 or d5 break, which is what black needs. So, it's not a threat. Queen b8. Just gradually maneuver. Very patient in the position. Notice how he takes a lot of moves before finally playing for this b5 pawn sacrifice. d5. These moves tend to go together. Kasparov always quick to spot the tactics. He gave up a pawn, now he has the play. You have to continue with the play, otherwise you're going to have a worse position. Check. Gets the pawn, and now let's compare the D pawn to the A pawn. Not much of a comparison. It's always protecting that pawn. Notice how the light square are agreeing with your bishop and not with his. Securing the rook, gradually thinking about maybe pressing the king side later. Sacrificing the bishop for play, getting the king out in the open. And game. Is black is going to either be queening the pawn or winning the rook. Hopefully, this small tutorial on the Kan Sicilian in connection with the Hedgehog will help you be able to face not only e4, but c4 confidently as well.